Hey, gun people. Just did my executive branch video, so now I'm going to do a crazy cop story. I talk a lot in these videos. I hear people, you talk too much. Well, hi Moki! Guess what? This isn't a silent channel. I have to talk to communicate what the hell I'm trying to say. So it's kind of hard for me to sit up here and do hand signals to communicate my message. So if you don't like me talking, you probably shouldn't be hitting play. So, this is another case. If you're asking why I dress like this, read the executive branch. I just did it for cause and effect. So I'm working this welfare fraud case, or actually I don't think it started as a welfare fraud. I ended up hooking this guy for some cause, and I can't remember what it was. But for some reason, I'm questioning this guy and everything. And like I do with everybody I arrest, I'm always looking for the bigger fish. And I'm saying, you know, hey, if you can give me something bigger than you, I'd rather get something bigger than what I'm arresting you for. So if you got somebody to give me, well, then we can work a deal on what you got. And now a lot of people don't want to admit that cops, as part of the cop, I'm part of the prosecution team, which means I'm part of the DA's office, and my reports go to the DA's office, and we're working as a team to convict you, and the courts are all on a prosecution team. We're all part of the prosecution team, law and order, whatever you want to call it. People don't want to admit it, but so anybody in that team can give immunity or quasi-immunity. If I tell you, if you do something, you won't be convicted, you can't be convicted. The DAs don't want cops to know this because they don't want cops out there making deals without going to them. But any cop can give immunity within reason. I mean, I can't go out there and give some guy immunity for 200 murders and go, you know what, dude? If you tell me who was speeding, I'll give you immunity. Now, obviously, most people are going to go, that's not reasonable, etc. But if a cop in good faith says, hey, and you agree to him in good faith to cooperate, and I tell you you're not going to be charged, and I'm going to talk to the DA and we're going to get this squashed, the DA is going to have a hard time getting around that because I'm part of the team. Now, the DAs will tell cops, you can't give it, don't do it, don't go there, work with me, check with me, go through me first. Why? Power. They want to have that ultimate power to say, I'm the only one that can give my friends immunity. I'm the only one that can cut deals. I'm the only one smart enough to decide who gets a deal and who doesn't. You know what? If cops started making more immunity cases and doing things like that, the DA would stop having all this power and it would knock him down a notch, which most DAs need to be knocked down a notch. So anyway, I'm working with this guy and I'm like, hey, can you give me something bigger, etc. And he goes, you know what? I've been wanting to get something off my chest anyway. I go, okay, what you got? And this guy must have had a pretty little case because I went after this case instead of his, so I can't remember what he did. Probably some probation violation, or I don't know, maybe he had a little weed on him or something. Who knows? Weed is marijuana for those people who don't know what weed is. So he goes, I helped a guy commit welfare fraud. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to the club. So does everyone else. Well, what do you mean you helped him? He goes, well, I went and took a blood test for him. And I went, damn, that sounds pretty interesting. I said, I want to hear more. So he says, well, my buddy got this girl pregnant. And here, people don't know how welfare works or how it's supposed to work. But the welfare rats have figured out a way around it. And the people that work in the welfare office have told them about it. So everybody knows this. But if I get a girl pregnant and she goes on welfare, and welfare can prove that I'm the dad, the money that they pay her, they can come after me, garnish my wages, or make me owe money. Because basically they're saying the state, by giving welfare, is paying child support for my kid, which I'm responsible for, therefore I have to pay the state back. Now, like our entire system, good guys get screwed, and the piece of shit thugs get away with everything. So if I have a job and I'm a decent guy, I get screwed. The government's going to take all my money because they have an easy source. You know, you can't get blood from turnip. Well, you know what? When they can get money from a guy that works, they're going to take all his freaking money. But if you got a guy that don't work and he ain't got no money, they're not going to mess with it because they know they can't get no money. So guess who's on welfare? The majority of the people. Got piece of shit, drug dealing, freaking prison, tatted up, in and out of prison, on probation, drug using piece of shit criminals, and they're out there just screwing, knowing that when they get their mama, baby pregnant, whatever it is, and they're going to go get welfare and they ain't got to worry about it. So what happens when somebody goes on welfare, you have to sign the paperwork and they say, please list who the father is. So the women who really want to screw a guy and are pissed at him, they'll write down their name. Sometimes they write down a guy that hates the father just to screw him, and now the government comes after him and he has to prove he's not the dad. So they can a woman can screw the guy in two ways. Like, guys can never do that. Guys can never say, hey, I didn't want the kids, she wanted it, she's responsible for child support. Guys don't have any rights. Double standard BS. It's all about the poor women victim, liberal world. Everybody's a victim except the guy or the white male. So you have to write down who the father is. How do you think they get around that? I mean, and if you get on welfare, the workers will tell you this. Now, before you fill out this paperwork, whoever you write down as a father, those mean welfare investigators are going to go after him and garnish his wages and ID him and make sure that any money he makes they're going to take. But if you put down the father as unknown, then we can't do anything. Okay, we call that a clue. Guess what most people put down on welfare? To me, if you can't name the father, you don't get no government help, because we can't go after. If you're screwing that many guys that you don't know who the father is, you know what? Too bad on you. No money. But Rick, what about the kids? We gotta save the kids. It's not the kids' fault. No, bullshit. I'm tired of saving kids who are going to grow up to be more leeches on society, to take more tax dollars, and to do nothing and not contribute anything and only take from those that work. I'm tired of taking care of those kids. So you know what? If you're producing kids, maybe you'll stop producing kids if you don't get no money. So the big thing in welfare is 90% people be like, Rick, there's really people that need welfare. 90% of all people on welfare put father unknown. Father unknown. So who does the government go after the money? Nobody. Could we go after and go, well, who's our friend? Could we invest a bunch of money? And should we? Maybe. I just don't think we ought to give them money if they put unknown. If you can't point us in the right direction, we can't identify the father, you get no money, or you're responsible for it, you're never going to have anything either. Because all these welfare rats, when they go out and pay their lotto tickets and they're selling their welfare checks and they're trading this and buying beer and getting cash and buying their lotto tickets, when they win the lottery, guess how much the government gets paid back for all their shit? Zero. All the crooks who are committing all these crimes, getting this free legal advice, causing the prosecution time and government, wasting the court's time, wasting the cops' time to arrest, search, give them medical care, put them in jail, get out, get a free attorney, have the prosecution. Guess how much money they have to pay back when they win the lottery? Zero. Zero. Because that's where our government works. So everybody puts down father unknown. Well, in this case, the lady goes, I don't like him, I'm putting down his freaking name, screw him. So this guy, using his noggin, I love smart criminals. People be like, oh man, you only arrest the dumb guys. I like outsmarting the smart guys. This guy's smart. He goes, dude, they don't know who's giving the blood. Me and you are both Mexican. This guy is like big, weighs 200 pounds, 220, 230, 240, big dude. The guy who's the real father, thin, slender guy. So they don't even look alike. When he showed me the picture, when he tells me what he did, man, is my buddy approached me and said, hey, she's trying to get me for welfare. I don't want to have to pay for the kid. I don't want the government coming after me. So if you go take my blood test, I'll give you my license. You go in there, say you're me, you give blood, it'll come back that you're not the father when they take the kid, and they'll never come after me. Guess what? It worked. They came back. She said, he's the father. They said, no, we did a blood test. It's not him. She's like, he's the only guy I slept with. For once, she was telling the truth. Most of them lie. But you know, she's like, I know I only slept with him. He's the father. You guys are wrong. They're like, hey, what can we do? He gave a blood test, says not him. So they all automatically think that she's lying. She slept with several dudes and she don't want to say who the real father is. So she's trying to screw this guy. So this guy has a perfect plan, used his noggin, got away with it. So all you welfare rats out there who have the fathers, and your fathers are on this, if you just get some dummy with your ID to go in there and give blood, you'll get out of your payments. Yeah, no, I'm coaching people on how to get around welfare, because the only guys that end up getting screwed are the dummies anyway, and the guys who aren't listed as fathers, they don't pay nothing. So anyway, that's what this guy does. The guy goes, I went in to show my ID, and I'm like, damn, this is going to be a tough case to prove, because now I've got I've got to figure out, will the judge give me a warrant to go seize blood off this guy based on this guy's word that I just arrested? So I haven't really made this guy a credible informant yet. So that was an iffy case. So I went back, I talked to the mom, and I go, hey, look, this guy says he went and gave blood. Who's the real father? She's like, I told you, he was. And I said, did you ever sleep with this guy? No. Why would he say that he went and gave blood? She goes, he must have. Somebody did, because I know he's the father, and the test came back that he wasn't a father. So then I go back to where they took the blood. And of course the nurses have changed and people have gone, and the girl that took the blood doesn't work there anymore, and they don't know where she's at. So I end up tracking her down, and of course when I show her the pictures, she doesn't know who gave the blood. She took blood. So it's like, shit, this case is going to shit. So I finally, somehow, and I can't remember how I ended up getting a guy, but I got a warrant. I took a statement from the mother. I took a statement from him. So I had two statements that corroborated each other, which kind of made sense. And I ended up getting a warrant for this guy to arrest him. And how did I get him for perjury? He had to sign something. When he signed some documents, when they contacted him, he signed under penalty of perjury that he was telling the truth, he was not the father, or that he was the one that went and gave the blood or something. So I guess after they got the negative blood result, he had to come in. They say, you're not the father. We need you to sign this under penalty of perjury. Obviously, that signing came about because somebody had done this before, and they're like, well, we need a loophole afterwards to get some guys to do this. So he signs this thing saying, yeah, I gave blood, and I'm not the father. Well, I end up getting a warrant to take blood. He ends up confessing or telling me he was the father. I think the guy who told me, I recorded his phone, or we did something, we made him make a pretext call. He called him and said, hey man, the cops were here, and I was recording it, and said something to where the other guy kind of admitted over the phone. Dude, don't tell him anything, don't admit it, just deny it. They'll never know, man, you know. And he's like, man, you know, I coached him before saying, hey man, get him to say, you know, he kind of puts you in a jam and you don't know what to do. And so he kind of called and he did all this, and the guy was like, man, he was, you know, total, he didn't know he was being recorded, and he's like, man, just don't tell him I told you, and leave me out of it, and just deny it, and don't tell him, man, they'll never know. So with that statement, with the two statements, somehow I figured out he was the dad. I ended up getting a warrant, and we go to arrest him, and it turned out to be a big thing in court because he hired a pretty expensive attorney. Well, I showed up like this, which is my normal gear, and I brought 3 or 4 guys with me because this guy was a prior felon. He had a felony assault and a couple other misdemeanor arrests. So he was on probation. So when I went to arrest him, I had a few guys with me, and we went to his work and we arrested him. Well, when I'm testifying, his attorney, who was pretty good, doing a pretty good job, probably was going to get him off, his attorney said, isn't it true that you don't like my client? I go, I don't even know the guy. Well, isn't it true that you kind of thought this was a good case and that you wanted to put my client in jail? I said, I thought he broke the law and he committed a felony, so I arrested him. Well, isn't it true that my client never gave you any reason to think that he was going to arrest or resist arrest? Which, what he was going for is he was trying to get a backdoor in to say that I took all these guys in, embarrassed this guy at work, tried to get him fired when I didn't need to. So I was just being this road cop who was really after his poor client. Now remember, because he's on probation and he's been arrested, we can't bring any of that up in court. So the jury's sitting there going, gee, why did you bring all these guys? So all that has to be withheld from court because prior bad acts, unless they're consistent with what the charge he's being crimed with, can't be brought in. Some liberals over the years have gotten this in there. I personally think anybody's criminal record ought to be brought in. But you can't do it unless it's connected. So if he had done other welfare fraud, that felony was connected to welfare fraud, we could have brought it in. But the lawyer knew that we couldn't bring it in because it didn't connect. And I'm not allowed to say it when I'm on the stand. So he's like, well, isn't it true you brought 4 guys with you to go arrest him? And I said, yeah, I did. He goes, and didn't you have your big raid vest with big yellow letters? And I go, well, that's what I normally wear. He goes, yeah, but aren't those probably called high-profile raid vests? I go, some people call them raid vests. I said, I call them high-profile because I don't want to get shot by another cop when they show up because I work civilian clothes. Well, so it is true that you had no reason to suspect my client of violence, and yet you brought all these people just to embarrass him. I go, well, I did have reason to suspect him of violence. Oh, you did? Well, why don't you tell me why? I said, because he was arrested for a violent felony before. Man, this freaking attorney blew his shit fit. Objection! Objection, Your Honor! Mistrial! He starts yelling mistrial because he wanted the case thrown out. Because he didn't want the jury to know that this guy had a prior felony conviction. Because he knew it would probably be like, you know, this guy's committed, he's doing a crime, obviously he did this. So it just made our case a lot stronger if the jury knew that he was in this. So I was okay with what I did. Of course, the attorney was kind of like, this is like the attorney's first case, or first perjury case, or whatever we're going perjury. So he didn't really say much or kind of defend me, but the defense was like, Your Honor, this guy's an experienced officer, he shouldn't have brought this up, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? I said, hey, he opened the door, Your Honor, or the attorney said he opened the door. Somehow it got brought up, and I was like, he asked a question. He was making it seem like I had no reason to bring 4 guys, and I did have a reason. I knew that he was arrested for that. And I said I couldn't answer the question without saying that because it makes me look like I just did this for no reason, which was what he was playing. And the judge kind of went, you know what? You opened the door. You did do that. So the attorney was all upset, mad at me. You know, that's ridiculous. I can't believe this. This guy's a senior investigator. He's a seasoned cop. He knows he can't bring up his thing, and he brought it up. Like, dude, you're the one that kept asking questions, trying to make me look like a dumbass on the stand. I answered your question. So, anyway, the guy got convicted. And, you know, of course, the guy was like, well, we can appeal. The attorney's like, we can appeal. Sure, we can appeal. If you want to pay him 30, 40 grand to run through the appeal process for a chance that it may get overturned, attorneys always give that appeal thing because they know they got a free ride to make a whole lot of money doing your appeal. But, anyway, the case was, I thought it was a pretty good case. He was now on the hook for all this back child support for his kid that he made, and you know, I don't know if the mother was happy about it. She probably felt vindicated a little bit because everybody looked at her like she was a liar when she said he was a father, or she was sleeping with a bunch of guys when she said he's the only guy I slept with. I know he's a father. So I think she got a little vindication. The guy who took the blood test was actually a pretty good guy. I think the DA ended up giving him something pretty minor, probation. If he stayed out of trouble, he wouldn't have anything else on his record. Because, I mean, the guy helped me out. He got a decent case, and I didn't want the guy charged for whatever it was. And even though he participated and he went in there and he signed and he gave blood under false pretense using it, he didn't get much because he came clean. And he had a wife and a kid, and he was working, and he was a decent guy. And I didn't want to see him get screwed for making a bad choice and helping out his buddy. He shouldn't have done it. He broke the law. Whatever. I mean, I thought he was a pretty good guy, so he got off pretty good. So he got off good. The guy who lied and tried to make everybody else look bad, he got screwed, got found guilty again, and the wife got vindicated. So that's one of my crazy cop stories about having someone else take your blood test. For all you guys out there want to rip it off the government, there's a new tip on how to rip them off.